Yeah, well, meanwhile, in the soccer world over this international break, FIFA released their last, what are they calling it? Last chance or final chance or last minute ticket sales, something like that. Oh boy. And I've used this comparison before, but I tried, and it is like the world's crappiest video game. It's just like, so they opened the queue at 11 a.m. This was on a day that I think I was homesick last week. I don't remember anymore. It's all in a haze. But I happened to see an article at like 11:05 or something announcing that these tickets were going to be available. So I joined from my phone the queue, this virtual queue that they have, right? And it represents the queue as a circle. And your point on the circle is like one little dot at the top. By 5 hours later, I had moved like maybe 10 or 15 degrees along this circle, right? And they're telling you when your spot comes up, you have 5 minutes to act or it's gone.
Yeah.
So they've got millions and millions of people entering the system. Most of them probably missing their chance because you can't watch it closely enough. It's like, it's not possible over that sustained a period. Like, I defy anybody. I was trying as best as my adult brain could manage at the time. It was really bad. So then it became a matter of, okay, the next day, try again. The next day, try again. Eventually, I managed to have it up at a time when I actually saw a countdown, like, oh, you have 19 minutes and 59 seconds remaining, and actually gave me a real countdown where, oh, okay, cool. I've been able to plan around that. I can set a timer, make sure I'm there, make sure I'm ready. And then the real fun began. I got to see which matches had seats available and which seats they had available and how much they wanted for these. So, first of all, there were no New York, New Jersey tickets left at that point. Nothing. So, okay, that made it easy. I'm going to focus on Dallas. I'm going to be there for a few weeks in July. I overlapped with a round of 32 and a round of 16 match that were going to be going on there that had tickets available. I can't even remember anymore which teams were involved, but, well, never mind. It's round of 30, round of 32 and round of 16. You don't know yet. You know the labels of the teams, but you don't know which actual teams yet because, right, it was beyond the group stage. So the ticket, the section that was available for each of those was like in like the upper deck in like the corner.
Yeah.
Both of them. The round of 32 tickets were like $400 a seat. The round of 16 were like $500 a seat. Something like that.
It's not bad.
Yeah, that's what talking to you about this before we recorded. Yeah. I'm realizing maybe it wasn't quite so bad, but
that's pretty good actually.
For those seats, not even knowing which teams, I was like, So who knows? I may try again. I don't know.
I will say this: if the U.S. finishes second in their group, that's where they'd be playing their round of 32 game.
Okay.
So I don't know if that totally accounts for that. But
yeah,
it does kind of open up that possibility.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So I do have tickets. I don't know if we talked about this. I have tickets. And actually this window, we found out the other team in the game, I will be seeing Netherlands-Sweden, which is kind of exciting in Houston. So a little Jurrien Timber versus Victor Gyökeres. So an Arsenal connection there. That'll be fun.
For our viewers and listeners, look out. Our bio on Jurrien Timber will be coming out this week. I edited it yesterday. It's ready to go. I'll be shipping that out in the next couple of days. So look for that.
Yeah, my sister was apparently in the same one you were. She gave me a call, I think on Wednesday. Had a possibility of getting $150 tickets to see Cape Verde versus Saudi Arabia in Houston. And now... My brother and I talked about this. He does not live in Houston, but he will be coming. He's plans to be down here. He bought the tickets for the Netherlands game. He'll plan to be down here for that. If he didn't already have tickets, that's a game he would go to. And I know quite a few people who are trying to. I know a couple people are trying to unload tickets to that game because they don't want to go. The problem is they bought them way back in the first lottery, when you didn't know who was playing.
Right.
And so now they've realized they've dropped $600 to go see Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia, who all due respect to Cape Verde World Cup debutants and to Saudi Arabia, it's not the sexiest matchup. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm kind of in a mixed on this because obviously with the prices and everything, and I'm sure a good chunk of these tickets are being bought by people who are reselling them through the usual marketplaces. Um, so there's a part of me that's kind of wondering about, like, with the prices and all that, how many people are actually going to these games? And the Club World Cup kind of becomes the example of this, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
those were, I understand, I don't go to that, expensive tickets. Some of them involving matches involving teams that, let's be honest, most Americans or most people nearby had never heard of those teams, much less be interested in them. They weren't the big European clubs. They weren't the big South American clubs who would draw in an audience. So, yeah, on the other hand, like you said, it's not like they're floating out there right now through FIFA. Somebody's buying these tickets. I don't know. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting one.
So yeah, I've resigned myself to trying on a secondary market a little bit later. I don't know. We'll see. It's obviously, it ultimately depends on who those teams are. Like if the U.S. does become one of those round of 32 participants, prices will go up. If it's someone else who no one cares about, maybe it goes down. I don't know.
I will say, since one of the problems for you too is, of course, living in New York. Aside from just the sheer number of people, um, New York got some pretty excellent games,
Mm-hmm.
like Brazil, Morocco, France,
Mm-hmm.
Senegal, Norway, Senegal, Ecuador, Germany, Panama, England. Like, those are big teams there.
Mm-hmm.
Those tickets are going to go, and then of course the Meadowlands has the final. Not
Right.
that you were. I mean, listen, the final is the kind of one you really shell out for. Of course, it also reaches that point where, like, can I spend that much money like at once?
Yeah.
Can I do that? So, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
I'm holding out hope. My job mentioned potentially trying to get tickets for us to go.
Hmm.
So that's if that happens, I care less about trying to see a match in Dallas.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
don't know. We'll see. I'd still like for my son to be able to go, and if it's a work thing, that's not going to be available to him. So
Oh,
who
of
knows?
course.
We'll see. But
Yes,
yeah.
my brother also supposedly has an in potentially for the round of 32 game in Santa Clara, so
Hmm.
the Bay Area. The problem for the San Francisco for the Bay Area is that most of their group games are decidedly unsexy. I think Switzerland is the biggest name I see there. With, again, much love to Granit Xhaka, but nah. But they do have a round of 32 game, which would be the winner of Group D, which my brother, of course, fingers crossed that it's the United States.
Hmm.
Um, so we'll
Okay.
see.
Cool. Well, while we're on the topic of all the international stuff going on, Ben White apparently made his return to the English national team.
Yeah, kind of like we all kind of thought he would. I mean, I guess the stranger thing isn't so much White. It's not so much White getting called up for England. Not that England wouldn't want him, but it's also more from just the. I mean, he really hasn't played very much for Arsenal this year, and so.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's got a pretty good, a track record with, in the Premier League with Arsenal, and where was he? Was he Southampton? Was he Southampton? I think before coming to Arsenal, I forget where we got him from. Was he
Brighton, I think, wasn't it? Or
Brighton? Maybe.
is that
Another one
Trossard?
of the Brighton ones. I mean, either way, I mean, he has a track record in England.
Right.
And obviously, there was the weird falling out that happened in the last World Cup. He left partway through the camp, partly through the tournament. Nobody's really saying why. I suspect it's kind of one of those things that, if you really break it down, everybody kind of looks like an idiot in it.
Yeah.
It's I can defend Ben White to a point, but at the same time, like, you did leave in the middle. Like, that's not a thing that typically happens. But clearly it was connected to the management, the coaching staff there, particularly the rumors are one particular assistant. We don't need to dive into that. But obviously all of those guys are gone. Gareth Southgate is no longer the England manager. It's Thomas
Mm-hmm.
Tuchel. And I thought a lot of Tuchel's comments on, Ben White and sort of the reaction he was getting from people, I thought were good. I appreciated them. I mean, not that I find a lot of the noise that surrounds the England national team to be kind of funny because it clearly wrecks what is otherwise actually a pretty decent national side. But the English tripping over themselves is very funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
some real time follow up though. I remembered a football thing. Yeah, Brighton was the team that basically he went to Southampton's academy, but then started with Brighton with the U18s and stayed with Brighton until he came to Arsenal 7 years later. He had some loan spells at Newport,
Yeah.
Peterborough, Leeds. Leeds was his most recent spell before he went to us. So yeah, Brighton.
Yeah, look at that, Dove. Remember the football thing. I like how you. Anyway, by all accounts, he had apparently a very eventful game. Scored a goal and conceded a penalty in England's break in their first match, which I believe they drew. I don't know what to make of that, but I mean, there were two sets of games in this international break. One were the World Cup playoffs. UEFA had 4 sets of playoffs. There were FIFA was hosting the Intercontinental playoffs, or two. Basically, the last 6 spots of the World Cup were up for grabs. 6, there we go, get numbers right. The last 6 spots were up for grabs. That's a big deal. Everybody else is playing friendlies, and you just can't take too many lessons on that. If we're thinking about this from the perspective of the national teams, obviously, as I said, I came to the sport first and foremost through the U.S. men's national team. They did not have a particularly good break. They lost to Belgium and Portugal. Talent level isn't as good. We're going to crash out of the group, blah, blah, blah. A lot of the usual sort of stuff that, that comes after these games. And while there is a small portion of the U.S. fan base that probably should just take a bath with a toaster and get it over with. I don't know what I'm supposed to be able to draw from these games too much, other than, okay, Belgium and Portugal are better than us, which, yeah, like this isn't... Would I have liked a better performance from what I understand? Yeah, I guess that would have been nice. Not losing 5-2 or 2-0 would be preferred. But, I mean... It's so hard to say. Guys are rotating in and out. I get the sense that Pochettino's still looking at some bottom of the roster guys. Again, England kind of was a damn squib in their 2 friendlies. Who cares? France looked really good. Okay, France also is probably going to be really good. Like I don't think we're really learning anything important in these games, which kind of leads us to the other part, which is that there were. Speaking of things there were a lot of noise about in this break, 10 Arsenal players left their national teams early during the course of this international break. Most of them with some conversations surrounding injuries.
As alluded to at the very beginning of the show.
Yeah. And I guess... Again, for so many of these, I mean, there were 2 Arsenal players. Double check the list. As far as I can tell, there were 2 Arsenal players who were involved in those World Cup playoffs. Christian Norgard played for Denmark, and Victor Gyökeres was playing for Sweden. Other than that, I think this was a good break for Ben White, who hasn't gotten a lot of playing time for Arsenal, to get a chance to play a little bit and also maybe work his way back into the England conversation heading into the World Cup. Thomas Tuchel doesn't have any questions about Bukayo Saka. He doesn't have any questions about Declan Rice. He knows who they are. He knows what they're capable of. He knows where they fit in his vision of England. So the fact that both of them left camp early to come back to Arsenal to continue their rehab, who cares? How is this a story? Gabriel, I think they said, left Brazil early. Martinelli stayed through. Zubimendi left Spain early. I think Saliba was with France. He left early. So I just feel like all of this is a lot of it's just a lot of noise and some of the usual sort of noise that comes around this time of year it comes around with the national teams. Yeah, we know a little bit where these guys stand injury wise. Obviously, I think the bigger ones that came out of it, the biggest one that seemed to come out of this was Noni Madueke, who had to come off of England's first game, was seen
Right.
wearing a brace afterwards, which is not great. And there were frankly even some stories floating around. Oh, when are we going to see Madueke again? It apparently got a little bit better because obviously there was a real concern that no, this could be a while. And apparently
Yeah.
afterwards they came out and the rumors were like he'll probably out through the sporting game, through the first leg of the Champions League. And then we see him on the bench and he comes off and plays the second half. So,
Right.
For a player like Martin Odegaard, to get some time with Norway because he hasn't got a lot of playing time, that's a big one. Oh my goodness. I forgot the other Arsenal player in the break. Oh, it was Calafiori. Oh, Italy.
What happened?
Oh, God. They lost. Three World Cups in a row they've missed. That's insane.
Oh, that is a big deal. So they were eliminated. They were in eliminated. The playoffs.
They lost the shootout to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yeah, they're out, which is just it's stunning. I can't. Well, let me rephrase that. It feels unfathomable just to think Italy, who has won the darn tournament 4 times, tied with Germany they're second most, tied they're behind Brazil and Germany. They've won it 4 times, more than anyone else. It's more than almost anyone else, and they're about to. They haven't played a knockout round game in the World Cup since they won the final 20 years ago.
Wow,
it's insane. But then again, you look through their lineup. They're just not very good.
Huh.
And part of this is because Serie A is not very good. I mean, the best teams in Serie A. I mean, Inter Milan is no joke. They've been to the Champions League final, I think, 2 of the last 5 years. But also with an older team, and some of their best players aren't Italian. AC Milan is okay. Juventus has been okay. There just aren't a lot of great Italian players right now. And it's kind of... I mean, Calafiori might be the best one. Yeah. And we love Calafiori. But if he's your best player... And he's probably not. There's a couple others. But, it's not good. They're not in a good place right now.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a weird one. So anyway, I guess, do we want to say who actually is in the World Cup?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, sure. So European finalists, we mentioned Christian Norgard in Denmark. They lost to Czech Republic or Czechia. I've seen everything I've seen from FIFA still saying Czech Republic, so I'm going to go with that. But Czech Republic are in. Congrats to them. Sorry to Denmark. Oh man, Denmark qualifying. What they dropped points in 2 games. And they got knocked into the playoff, and then now suddenly are out. We were talking about them as basically being all but qualified, and they're now out. Then there's, we mentioned Sweden. Victor Gyökeres scores, I think, in the 86th minute against Poland to send them through. By the way, this was Sweden. By the way, I got to check this. I don't think they were terrible in qualifying. So Sweden, hold on, let's see if I can pull this up. I remember reading this. And there's some talent on the team. By the way, they're managed by Graham Potter, formerly of Chelsea. Let's see if I can find this. Yeah, Sweden was in there.
There's a lot of formerly of Chelsea managers these days.
There's a lot. Well, that's not a new thing. Sweden went 0 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses in their qualifying group.
Ooh.
But because they had finished at top of their group in the Nations League 2 years ago, they got to go into the qualification playoffs in which they beat Ukraine. And in Spain, because of course Ukraine can't play home games, for reasons. And then at home, beat Poland and they're going to the World Cup.
Hmm. Wow.
They will play Tunisia and the Netherlands and Japan in the World Cup. I will see them against the Netherlands in about two and a half months.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy.
This is a weird World Cup qualifying's weird. Yeah, we mentioned Sweden. By the way, other ones we mentioned Bosnia and Herzegovina. The last one is Turkey. Turkey is an interesting one, having beaten Kosovo. Turkey is an interesting one because they are now in the U.S.'s group, so they will play the Americans in. I believe that's in their third group game, which I believe is in Los Angeles or Inglewood, California, officially in the Los Angeles World Cup Stadium. And then quickly, the last two spots, the Intercontinental Playoffs went to the Democratic Republic of the Congo and then Iraq. So all 48 teams are here.
Yeah, so 48 seems like a weird number for a single elimination style tournament with a group stage. So that's where the round of 32 comes in, I guess. Like some countries get buys straight to the round of 16, but then like the rest, or no, it's everyone's in the round of 32?
Well, no, so there's 48 teams. So the top two teams in each group will advance. There are 12 groups.
Right.
And then it is the next, I think it's must be the 8 best. Yeah, it's 12 groups, 24 to get to 32. 8 best third place teams will also advance. And so there will be a round of 32 and then 16 quarters, semis, final.
Okay.
So basically it's one more game than it has been in the when they were doing 32, even back when they were doing 24. Actually, this is very similar to when they were doing 24, where also some third place teams were able to advance. That's how the U.S. got into the round of 16 back in 94. Actually finished third in their group.
Huh. Cool. Well, meanwhile, back in England, I saw an article claiming confirmation that Pep Guardiola will be leaving Manchester City. This article was saying that he confirmed it to his players, just telling them that he's out and, it's not a response to how they're doing or anything like that. It's for personal reasons, doesn't want it to get into their heads, but wanted them to be prepared for it. What do you make of that?
I mean, I read the link, Football 365. I don't know. It feels a little bit like we talk about some of the transfer stuff. It feels like we're in that season where you're going to hear a lot of stories floating around. I don't know. We've heard a lot about this. We talked about this back over the holidays about him maybe leaving. So my suspicion is there's fire with that smoke. But I don't know. Some guy heard that he told the players. I don't know about that. That feels a little that I'm not. Okay. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm not saying it's not even likely to happen. In fact, at this point, I'm starting to think maybe it is. But that to me doesn't count as confirmation. I certainly don't need anything more into that. We can confirm, however, that Mo Salah will be leaving Liverpool. That is happening. That was announced announced at the beginning of the break. Yeah, I mean, it's 1 year too late. But honestly, probably should have just hung him up at the end of last season. But
win the title and quit while you're on top. Yeah.
Well, that was the rumor, right? It was that his contract was up and there was some dissension between him and the club and all that. Mm-hmm. The curious thing will be where he goes to next. I mean, there's a lot of money and towards him going towards Saudi Arabia. Obviously the money involved. Also, I mean, he being from Egypt, a chance to play closer to home. I can understand all of that. However, there are apparently several MLS teams who have they've made phone calls. Let's just say they're not they would like to talk, which good for MLS. Good for MLS teams. He's still a quality player. I imagine if he came here, he would do quite fine within MLS. Yeah. For a year or two at least, and why not?
Right. Well, we're going to be talking about some unexpected kit developments when it comes to the FA Cup shortly, but before that, apparently there is some controversy around the kits worn in the USA-Belgium match. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, they're both white. That's not entirely true. So the US kit, we've talked about it, is kind of an off-white with red stripes simulating a waving flag.
Yeah.
The Belgian kit is kind of a white base with a lot of like pink and light blue designs. I forget what it's supposed to be representative of, but anyway, you put them next to each other and you hold them next to each other, you can kind of see the difference. You take a step back, like say you're watching the game on television,
Right.
and they look kind of the same.
Uh-huh.
Helped substantially by the fact that due to FIFA rules, the US shirts in the back where the number is left white. So the stripes don't go all the way around. So especially if the players are turned their back to you, you're seeing the white, obviously with the number in there, but still it looks largely white. The US wears dark shorts and white socks. Belgium was wearing white shorts and dark socks. So it was kind of a mess. It is one of those you kind of look at and go, who signed off on this?
Yeah.
Both teams had, obviously both teams, the U.S., of course, officially, in mid-March, officially released the kits. We've been talking about them, so the World Cup kits are out. Belgium had just released this one as their new kit, their away kit for the World Cup. So both teams had another kit. The U.S. had the blue one with the stars. The Belgians had their home red. So there were other options. Apparently, neither of them was in the stadium, which I don't know how that works. It's kind of that feels weird to me, but I don't really know how it works.
Honestly, for my 8-year-old, his whole team is told to bring both kits to every game just in case something changes at the last minute. So apparently that should continue throughout his career, however long it may be.
Yeah. It's one of those weird things that happens now and again in international games. It's annoying. It's certainly not why the U.S. lost. They lost because Belgium's got Jeremy Doku's really good. I don't know if Arsenal fans recognize that from the Carabao Cup final, but yeah. Belgium's got some really good players. The U.S., again, friendlies. I don't want to read too deep into any of this stuff, but yeah, it was kind of some of the pictures of taken from the press box. Like it is. It still you can see the difference, but then you remember they're running around and stuff. Man, that was a big time whiff.
You're dealing with like players' peripheral vision and stuff like that, where you really want it to be unambiguous too. So, yeah. Although
guys are saying it wasn't a huge issue for the player. It was awkward looking, but again, certainly not why they lost. Not ideal. Oops.